Hello, everyone. This is Edgewood Podcast, episode number 3, and we are excited because we have Patrice, saying that correctly,
Yes, Patrice.
in the building, and we are excited to sit down with her. So, welcome.
Thank you.
And how you end up getting here, just in case you didn't know, um, X amount of years ago, I started working on a film about a girl who stutters.
Hmm.
And as I worked in production for quite a while after jumping over some hurdles, um, I've come in contact with a few SLPs,
Hmm.
not purposely, but started to be a little bit more curious about them,
Hmm.
knowing that they work with people who stutter.
Hmm.
And I said, man, let me reach out to some and
Hmm.
hopefully get educated a little more about what they do and
Hmm.
what got them started in that film. So, if you could start by um, letting us know what you do, where you're from, why you end up becoming a SLP, and what got you started.
All right. Well, again, my name is Patrice Thomas, and I'm a native of Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi. I own a private practice here in Mansfield. I started out as a travel speech language pathologist. I'm currently licensed in Mississippi, Georgia, and Texas. I have traveled abroad um, in the past, working to help people who have speech impairments. And currently, I own a private practice in Mansfield, Texas. And I see children and adults. I've worked in just about every setting that a SLP could work in: schools, hospitals, of course, the private practice, home health. And how I landed into it.
Yes. How did you get there?
So, I actually started out in nursing school, you won't believe. I've
Okay.
always been passionate about people and helping people. Well, once I realized I didn't like to be poked or to poke people, this was the next thing. I had a chance to actually shadow, and then my grandfather had a trach. So as a kid, I'm watching what I know now to be a speech therapist, come in and assist my grandfather. Just seeing that as I got older, my oldest sister was just like, "Well, why
So,
don't you?"
hold on, because I think we
Oh,
a lot of people got them grandfathers
yeah,
who had a what?
a trach.
And what is a
It's like an
trach?
incision in your neck, and it's an incision in your neck. So the trach, usually, like if someone has had cancer or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, and they have to remove your trach, they put an incision there, and it's like a tube.
Oh,
It's like a tube in your neck.
we just educated a lot of people because I know we ain't seen it,
Yes.
but we didn't know what it
Yeah.
was called.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And so sometimes they may talk with a whisper like this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some people like have a little bit of, a bit of after therapy, maybe a little audio there, but most of the time it's like a whisper. Once that's there, they remove the trach and put that in there.
Okay.
So yeah. And so my grandfather had that. My grandfather, I think he was like a smoker, usually like a smoker, like it's contributed to like cancer or whatever. I don't know if you've seen like the old commercials where they have like the little things up to their necks and it sounds like a robot. Like
Oh yeah, I've
yeah,
seen they. Those are some interesting commercials. Make you think twice about smoking.
yes, yeah. And so it usually is contributed like to like smoking, which leads to the cancer or whatever. So my sister reminded me of that, being a kid, and she's like, "Hey, why don't you explore this?" So I had a chance to shadow, and I loved it. The fact that I could move around and I could still, assist people and help people. And more than anything, it's like, what's life without communication? So being able to help people do that, I was like, okay, I think I kind of like this. So just being able to explore, you know, what you're able to do in all of those settings, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm down for it. So I went to school for it. I transferred. I got out of nursing school, and it was 4 years of undergrad communicative disorders, and then 2 years of graduate school. Once you graduate, you do a clinical fellowship. That's usually 9 months to a year. And so after that, you have to pass the praxis. So you have to make a certain score on the praxis, and then you get your certification. So
The communication disorders,
mm-hmm.
this is in college.
Mm-hmm.
For the not as informed people like myself,
Uh-huh.
learning, that's why we have to sit down with those experts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Obviously, those disorders is a lot more than just stuttering,
Mm-hmm.
because when I'm working or talking to a few people that I know that stutter through
Mm-hmm.
my project,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hearing SLP, speech language
Mm-hmm.
pathologist, I'm just like, oh, these people are the people who work with people who stutter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I seen, oh, they work with kids too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's and that was as far as I went
Mm-hmm.
regarding what y'all do.
Yeah. Most people.
Oh, they work with people who stutter.
Yeah.
Get it? Um, so with those disorders,
Mm-hmm.
when you was in school, can you give a quick breakdown or list of
Mm-hmm.
what's on that outside of just stuttering?
Outside of stuttering, oh my goodness, it's a lot. Okay, so of course we have autism, we have the articulation disorders. That's what a lot of people like. Oh, they help people with the sounds, but the articulation disorders. We have language disorders. It could be expressive or receptive. So your ability to understand and then your ability to actually express what you're hearing, or your ability to process what you comprehend as well. We also have voice disorders. Um, my least favorite voice disorders. Most speech therapists, we don't get a whole lot of that. It's kind of like those people who usually like stick to it, because they do help people in the music industry as well. You hear people saying like a voice coach.
Yeah.
It's a speech therapist. That's what they have.
Oh, who knew that, people?
Yes, it's a speech therapist, a voice coach.
Yeah, we hear voice
Mm-hmm.
coach all the time.
Mm-hmm. It's a speech therapist. Yeah. So, I mean, you name it, strokes, dementia, a lot of it, and swallowing. It's even swallowing, feeding. It's a lot. We do a lot that a lot of people are not aware of. People usually think of the sounds or the stuttering, but it's a wide
Yeah.
range. Very wide range. Um, it's a lot.
Yeah, man, I didn't know. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Cause it's the few that I've heard speak, when they had small events and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, they were talking to people who stutter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what else they did throughout the rest of their day or career with different type of clients that they
Mm-hmm.
had, and that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't. How far along were you into nursing
Mm-hmm.
before you jumped that ship?
Oh, so like a year and a half, because I
Okay.
started college courses when I was in high school. So I was a junior
Okay.
college. I did like some junior college courses, and then I did my first year at Alcorn State University in Mississippi, and then after that first year, I shadowed. Like I always like to see. I think it's very good to actually see
Yeah.
what your day-to-day life could be like before you actually jump into something. And so just having the opportunity to see, and I'm a very sensitive person. So I remember maybe like the first week, I saw a baby. The baby was crying. I think they were sticking the baby. So I'm like crying.
This on the nursing side.
Nursing side,
You're doing
yes.
the shadowing. Okay.
Yes, and they're like, honey, you can't stop and cry, And so I knew then, I'm like, okay, this is not for me, because I don't like to be stuck. I still have to turn my head today when I'm being stuck, like, those little tricks they play on the baby, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, please play with me like that before you stick me. So I knew that it wasn't for me, but I still knew that I wanted to help people. So
That's good stuff. What's the age range of your class of people that you work with when it comes to stuttering? I know you say you work with children and adults.
So, I have not had an adult in a long time, but I do have a child, and he's 10. He's 10 years old. He's the only one that I have right now.
10. Okay. And this is interesting to me. I know he didn't walk into your office on his own.
No, he didn't.
So a parent,
yes,
mom or dad, said, hey, our son, right, is having some communication problems or something, and we need you to, what did they say?
Strategies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we need some strategies.
We need some strategies.
He's what I call one of my seasonal babes, because he was dismissed. But then at that age, usually it's the repetition. We teach them the repetition, but then sometimes that self-monitoring, it slips. And so mom called and said, hey, I think he needs to come back in again, because we teach them the strategy. But typically at that age, we're playing with toys, we're doing all these different things.
Of course.
The last thing you're going to do is monitor yourself. You're going to do it, in this time frame that you have to, because it's therapy.
You have to,
and then it's the repetition of it. You do really good, but then you begin to slip, because now you're not in front of the professional, someone who's, kind of going over it and making you do it.
Correct.
Kid versus an adult, most adults will do the homework. They'll continue to stand in the mirror, do the strategies. Most children at that age, nah.
Not
so
at
then
all.
They're likely to do really good, and then they're going to have a stretch as they go to maybe a different grade or something, and then mom or dad's back, like, hey, I think we need to get back in here. Like, he's regressing.
With the number of children that's out there that may have some kind of speech issue, are we aware of the number of children that really need the therapy when it comes to speech?
I don't think so. No. Sometimes I have seen instances where I believe that children who actually do stutter, they're looked over. Sometimes it could look like, oh, they're just learning how to read. Also, there is a such thing as developmental stuttering in our littles. So we kind of monitor them and give them like a time frame, because some kids do stutter when there's a lot of change, or if there's for example, if there's a new sibling in the house, or if there's a move, just something drastic happening, and then it'll go away. But then sometimes it could look developmental, and then little Johnny is still stuttering outside of that time frame, and we just kind of let little Johnny go ahead, because for example, in the school setting, as long as whatever your impairment is, as long as it's not interfering with your studies, then it's not addressed. So there's a difference in every setting.
Yeah, I don't like that setting.
Yeah, it's the school setting. So typically, if it's not impacting you, then by law, it doesn't have to be addressed. But if it's impacting you, then it has to be addressed. So I always usually advocate to parents, when it comes to private practice, there are no stipulations at all. There are none whatsoever, especially if you're private pay. Now, if you're dealing with insurance,
It's
then
different.
yeah, they want to see a deficit. But other than that, if you come in private pay, say, hey, I'm seeing this, can you evaluate my kid? We don't have to look at scores or anything. If the observation shows that, okay, A, B, C, and D, okay, yeah, we need to get him in here, we can go ahead and see him. So
with even somebody as young as 10 years old going to see their speech therapist, what is their point of view on that? Like, I don't want to go see this lady.
Sometimes.
Or
sometimes, unless you make it fun.
Yeah, but it's not a
So,
bad stigma on it though.
right. So I've seen different cases. So he's not the only one that I've had. I
Hmm.
think I think that it depends. If a child is aware of their bumpy speech, as we call it, then you may go through a phase where you get that grumpy side, but then they'll lighten up because, oh, you can help me with this. You know, I have had kids to say, well, oh, so and so teased me, or, they laugh when I talk. So then it's like, okay, I know you're here to help, so let me comply. But then there are some kids, it's like they'll comply, but then the older they get, it's like, okay, we've been doing this over and over and over. Like, I don't
Okay.
want to keep doing this.
Yeah, they're
So,
getting to that stage, huh?
yes, but it's the repetition that helps. It's the strategy that you need and that you have to get in order to, really monitor yourself and catch yourself in day to day speaking, to get to that place of like speaking smoothly, you know? So it's always the repetition of the strategies.
When you were transitioned from nursing to communications, did you know or hear much about it prior to transitioning over in college?
No, let me tell you, I had no idea that everything that I know now that was a part of speech, I had no earthly idea. I was probably in your same shoes. Oh, I'm just gonna help the kids produce their sound.
Right. I'm a pretty
Like,
simple stuff.
yeah, I'll get to talk to people, that sort of thing. And I can say, as I got further along, when we started getting into the neuro, the nerves, the brain, the lobes of the brain, I'm like, oh, you know, and then like the swallowing. Um, I think I can just about speak for every therapist. It's like it makes you nervous, very nervous, because you could do one thing wrong, especially when you're doing swallowing. You give them the wrong consistency, you could choke to death or something like that. You know, if you're not careful, and I think that's why most speech therapists, they run from the medical side, because yeah, if you do one thing wrong, if you do not understand what you're doing, like if you're not a good analyzer, analyze and do your, like your investigating, talking to the doctor, the nurses, just getting an understanding of where the lesions are in the brain, all of that. You do one wrong thing and you could really impact or hurt someone. So, yeah.
The swallowing
Mhm.
is still up in the air for me because when they
Mhm.
say speech,
Mhm.
what that have to do with them swallowing?
Your brain, the lobes in your brain. We usually deal with it's called dysphagia. That's the impairment. It's secondary usually to like a stroke. So when your brain is impaired, the neuro, then all of these areas are like in the like the frontal lobe. All of these areas, they control like your speech, your communication. It's all vital to communication.
Man, we need more SLPs.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't associate people who I've known two people in my family who have
Mhm.
had strokes.
Mhm.
Um, Nobody has referenced, hey, we may have to get SLP for them. Never heard that.
Mm.
But people, I've never associated stroke with SLP.
Really?
Hey,
Yeah. No, it's
don't
okay.
jail me, okay?
No, it's okay. But you think about it, that portion of the lobe is usually affected. The lobe that controls like your ability to communicate. Usually you might hear them have like slurred speech after they have a stroke,
Of course, yeah.
or memory. We deal with memory loss, the dementia, all of that. You lose memory, so we help restore memory. That all goes back to that comprehension I was telling you about, the receptive and expressive language. Yeah,
Man, y'all do a lot,
we do.
you know.
Yeah.
Kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Um, um, what is you guys known for? Well, outside of being at an event that you may go to for work,
Mm-hmm.
or your career field, pretty people know what you're doing there, but you out and about just hanging with friends, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
And you would say,
He always, now this is me because I'm me.
yeah, you.
I help people's vocal box. That's what I say. That's my superpower. I always say I have superpowers.
Heal people's vocal box.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that?
By different means. Because
It sounds
communication,
like you expensive.
I am. Because I'm very creative and I meet people where they are.
Okay.
I meet people where they are. I get to know my clients. I always say, like, we become family. I get to know my clients because I feel like I can better relate and address you when I understand you and I know you. And if we're going to be working together, we need to know each other. I need to know what you like. I need to know, I need to know as much as I can. And I tailor my therapy to them.
Instead of them fitting inside something that you got for everybody.
Right. I tailor it. Everything. Oh, well, if you like with Paw Patrol, let's get some Paw Patrol reinforcement.
I've heard a lot of Paw Patrol.
Yeah.
Paw Patrol is out there.
Yeah. Even my adults, like for example, I have had like stroke patients, for example, in the past. What did you do when you were younger? Or let's just say if they don't have the memory to tell me, I usually always talk to the family members first. What did he do prior to this? What was life like? So in order to bring that back, sometimes all it takes is that one good thing. You bring it up and then, old thoughts begin to come back, then it starts coming. So I tailor everything to that. Well, if you like that, well, let me go look this up and see how I can put it into my lesson, whatever I'm teaching you. So I do that for all my patients.
That's awesome, Sauce.
Mm-hmm.
When, over the X amount of years, I guess last, I don't know, maybe decade, you can say a lot of companies, areas, people are saying, hey, we need content managers. We need social media strategists because of how big social and stuff has, become over the years.
Mm-hmm.
How big is that industry, the SLPs, and how much of a need is that industry for new girls coming up or guys?
Mm-hmm.
Is we lacking participants in that area?
Mm-hmm. It's a great need. I'll say it's a great need because I set my phone up, my little phone, like, is this clear enough to put on social media? Oh, this one didn't do too good, so I'll try to record again the next time. But I would say there's a great need, and just like a lot of people don't even know that we exist or kind of like what we help with. I think that if we had more of that, like more people who actually just documented what we did. I think there are a lot of people who would think like, oh, I probably should have had that when I was younger, or like, oh, this could really help my kid, because like I actually have programs that I've developed to try to help typically developing kids versus kids who actually, I always say, have challenges, speech challenges, to actually bring them together. Because I always tell my parents, they come to me, but they're going to have to go back out to the world. So what I'm trying to do now is kind of like integrate kids so that when they're in the classroom, it's not like, oh, well, Johnny talks different. They are already kind of be used to it, or they already kind of understand it. So that's what I'm in the process of doing, is trying to merge kids. I always tell parents, it's not just for kids with speech impairments. Like, please bring your other kids, because I say we all have challenges. They look different. And that's what I try to teach to kids. It just looks different. I have something about me that stands out, that's going to catch your attention. And the same way I was telling one of my stroke patients, he's very self-conscious about how slow he talks now. I said, well, you know what? This is just something new to get somebody else's attention. Because guess what? I'm going to look your way because you talk different.
Yeah, I think
so.
With I guess the younger you are, maybe, you are not focusing on saying as much when you get older, but when you're young, it's just, get it out, get it out, get it out. You can't wait to tell what happened at recess
Right.
or whatever situation. But I think that is very interesting. I like the fact that even if one of the children, let's say they have multiple kids, do not stutter, bringing them, because I think how I would look at it if I have two children, that it's not saying that that something is wrong with one of my child. They both go.
Yeah.
Because one may be worse off than the other, however you look at it, but they both can use some help in this area.
Yeah.
So not one is not better than the other.
Right.
So I really like that.
Yeah, and even understanding. Like I said, my approach is we become family. I usually give I let the families help me plan. I'm the expert, but it's not just for this setting. The goal is for them to get what they need from me and to practice it when they go out into the world. So, for example, if I know like they're getting ready to go out of town or they're going on a trip, just depending on what it is or what they're dealing with, if I can, maybe focus on, just kind of adding some things into the activities that we're doing in relation to what they have coming up, I try to do that, just kind of prepare them ahead of time so that they feel confident or so that they're able to kind of communicate whatever it is that they want to communicate. So
that's awesome, Stoss. When we spoke and how you end up getting here is I was working on my film. It stars a person who stutters. Well, one of the leads is a person who stutters. Then going through all that pushed me towards learning a little bit more about speech language pathologist. And it covers a girl who is being sought after by a guy. And it's like a two-sided coin, somebody mentioned to me after I finished it, because you don't see much on the girl side, the girl who stutters. You see a lot of reaction on the boy side who's interested in the girl who stutters, because I think that's how we are as of adults view it most of the time. That's probably why I wrote the story that way now that I think about it. He isn't pursuing of the girl. She's a pretty girl, but she just happened to stutters. And everybody on his side is struggling with that. Not the fact that she's just an awesome girl, but they're struggling with her stutter, which he is not concerned about.
Right.
So I guess that's how I and probably a lot of other people view it, as in, oh, I don't want to talk to her, or I'm not interested in her, or nah, Dad, I probably wouldn't want to be with her. She stutters. And that's it. That's the surface. We look at that one thing and deciding based off that.
Right.
And I've never seen a film where the main character stutters. And when we see it in film, it's often joked about, it's made fun of. And it makes me think that there are a lot more children that's witnessing that before they can actually get help. So they always making fun of those people.
Yeah.
When they are actually one of those people. And telling that story was it wasn't easy, because I don't, people wouldn't look at me as a person who stutters, but connecting that character, the main character, the girl who stutters, to the audience was tough, because I didn't want them to think that I didn't do it right, but it's from an outside view of a person who people would consider, or he don't stutter. But the goal is to, once I finish it and get it out, of actually more people who stutter to want to become part of that creative space. So let's say I finished this film that I'm wrapping,
Mhm.
and I show it, and people come out and have a good time, especially people who stutter,
Mhm.
and they think it's great. I would love for more of them to say, "Man, if I could help with the second one, it'd be great,"
Mhm. Yeah.
because you're my audience. I
Mhm.
need you. So, like, if you got a stutter, great.
Yeah.
I need you a part of my team,
Yeah.
and I'm using it to as a gateway to hopefully get them to communicate more and be louder, because this is a, I'm pretty sure the NSA. I went to a lot of their events. That's that's their thing, National Stuttering
Mhm.
Association. So obviously
Mhm.
you are very welcome.
Mhm.
But in my realm of film, they don't seem like they've been as welcomed. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping if it's a film about people who stuttering, for people who stuttering,
Mhm.
you will say, hey, I should be first in line
Right. Yeah.
for this type of event. So that's what got me started,
Mhm.
after running into a girl who stutters, of creating a
Mhm.
film and now seeking out
Mhm.
SLPs so I can get educated.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I really love that, and I'm rooting for you because this is very rare. It's very rare. And I think that it's important just knowing what I do know and understand what I've seen in people who stutter, like some people who deal with like the confidence, maybe depression behind it. The teenage wanting to date, but then when you open your mouth, the very thing that you just
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
And so I think bringing light to it, like I think that's going to be very, very helpful, and then even a boost of confidence for those people, because it's kind of like, hey, somebody's actually doing something, or like somebody actually sees us.
Yeah,
Like.
I never seen it. So I was telling somebody earlier that when it comes to entertainment, a lot of people do it for many different reasons.
Mhm.
Clout, clicks, the
Mhm.
dollars,
Mhm.
just wanting to be seen.
Yeah.
Um, Me, I'm not typically in front of the camera person. I like
Mhm.
to write and direct and edit and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I like creating it
Yeah.
for the people. And I said, if I was a person who stutter, I would think this is interesting.
Yeah.
And my stories I've found to see is, well, the first ones that I've worked on is very narrow. It's for a certain type of person. It's not that, um, when we have the showing and hopefully we
Mhm.
get content out and stuff. Um, well, I've watched many premieres and stuff, and
Mhm.
often you hear, "Oh, this can touch everybody." You
Yeah.
hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and the more the merrier. But this particular film, it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
and that's a message I'm going to have to relay just as much as who it's for,
Mhm.
because if you are one of the people who are impatient or have an attitude or
Mhm.
made the joke about haha
Mhm.
you stuttering,
Yeah.
you probably don't want to watch it.
Right.
It wasn't made for you,
Yeah.
and that's okay. um, it's just for the people that do have a stutter, older and younger. um, they can see themselves in a different light being portrayed on
Mhm.
um, screen that I haven't seen before. Like
Mhm.
we can say, "Oh man, that that guy who loves sports is this and that. I play
Mhm.
sports. I'm a guy. I can relate
Yeah.
100%."
Mhm.
Um, but when it comes to stuttering in that community, that person who stutters calling or texting their friend who stutters
Mhm.
about that character who
Mhm.
stutters, I don't think that's talked about enough. And educating me
Mhm.
on where we can and can't take that character,
Yeah.
because I had to do it on my own, because I didn't. It's just the stuff that I've learned from listening,
Mhm.
not um, having a person who stutters next to me as I
Yeah.
took it the whole way.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to open up a different community regarding
Yeah.
that, where they come to the event outside of their own event,
Mhm.
stuttering events. where their voice is top priority over anybody else's.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I really, like I said, the main thing I always see is that confidence. Just being around somebody who understands you or someone you can relate to. Just, I love what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
So,
I have thrown a SLP in there.
okay.
So in the future,
Okay.
I might need some SLPs
Okay.
to to do their thing, because while I'm excited about the showing, once I get the dates and stuff, we will put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Is because the time that I've seen the SLPs,
Mm-hmm.
they are in a educational
Mm-hmm.
realm,
Yeah.
and
That's the most typical setting.
right, and
Yeah, I
this
gotta
one
know that.
is not.
Yeah.
I want, excuse me, people that are SLPs, people who stutter, and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We stuttering may be the topic, but it may be in form of a entertaining
Mm-hmm.
aspect, not
Mm-hmm.
just learning what it takes to get therapy and speech impediment
Mm-hmm.
and then drilling down your throat. As
Yeah.
in, man, who knew girls who stutters was so awesome,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Mm-hmm.
that's from the story, from the film,
Yeah.
which I know it's 100 more out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm just trying to make a big enough impact with this story to get those girls. Because the girl that I met that kind of inspired me to write it, she told me that when she talked to certain guys, she know how to hide her stutter.
Mm-hmm.
She know what to stay away from, and I just said, like, dang, why would anybody do that? But I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay. And part of what she told me and what I remember, I did put that inside the story,
Wow.
because that's the little bit that I
Mm-hmm.
knew some girls do,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But um, just like the guy in the story, it's kind of just like me. Um, the stutter didn't bother him, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but he did understand that um, it had an effect on the people around him
Mm-hmm.
more than it did him. And so it's like two sides to that story, where this girl is being pursued by a guy
Mm-hmm.
who don't care about her stutter.
Yeah.
And I wondered, is that easy? Like,
Yeah.
even though you know the stutter is there and whatever, can you accept that he don't care about it
Yeah.
and just be comfortable, and he don't care? And on his side, he doesn't care, but the people around him cares. His
Yeah.
parents is questioning it. His friends are questioning it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you go there? She stutters,
Yeah.
Like, we can't, like, that's a problem. So I'm hoping we can talk about it more in an entertainment space than therapy session or educational, where we trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out something else to help prevent it,
Yeah.
than and just enjoy it in a different aspect. That word made me think of the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Those parents that's bringing those 10, 11 useful
Mm-hmm.
kids in there, are they bringing them in there with a plan to eliminate the stutter? Like, he's a little off, I need you to fix it so he can.
Just kind of like to get them back on track, because
Yeah.
usually by this age, if they've typically like stuttered a little longer. So
Okay.
typically by this age, we would have explained to them, the likelihood of it going away. Like, this is what we do. We give you the strategy. We give them the strategies for when they go out. We don't fix. That's not what we do. We teach and we give them the strategy.
Do the parents know that? Do parents think fix it, or what the words you just used?
Or give them a strategy.
Strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Do parents think, hey, we need to come up with a strategy for this, or do they say, hey, fix this so I can get this boy back outside?
I will say I've had one instance And it's not until we educate them to let them know, like, this is not something that, because there are some people who think, like, oh, when you get done, there's going to be no more bumpy speech. I've had that before. And so once we educate them and let them know, like, this is what this is what this looks like, this is what this may look like, this is what this may not look like, then they get a better understanding. So, like, this particular parent, like, she understands, you know, he was doing really, really good. You know, he had his strategies, the repetition, you know, he was good enough to come out. By the time we got done, this was like maybe last year, he was like, you know, I feel very confident. I know how to use my strategy. I know when to use it. And got out for summertime, and we're noticing now the pattern is the regression is usually in the summertime. You know, when he's not around people, because you really don't have to use the skill, you know. So
yeah,
we've noticed now over the years, it's usually around the summertime when we see the regression. Or like, you know, typically when he's going to another grade, now these are new kids or new teachers. So then it's like a new nervousness, you know. So the way I teach kids is I build from the bottom, like, these are the situations that you're likely to stutter. So then these are the strategies that we want to learn when you're in these moments so that you know how to monitor yourself. And then I kind of go from there. I even go as far as, you know, we're making phone calls this week. Let's call some people. The areas that you're most nervous about, you know, let's place some orders. Or like I like to go out in the field, like let's go here or let's go there. Or like I'll record. I always start off with a recording. So you see, this is where you started.
Recordings are important.
And then, you know, this is what, you know, by the time, like, this is our goal. So let's see where you are now, like reading this or doing this or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I try to analyze where the stutter is occurring the most. And like we build and we work for it. Like I said, I try to build relationships. So I'm not done with you. When you leave, you let me know if something comes up.
Right.
So then, okay, what do we need to do different now? Because now you're different. You know, you're older, or maybe you moved, or, you know, you got new teachers, or maybe you're dating now, or, you know, so like now what do we need to work on? You know, therapy might look like, you know, let's practice some of these lines you're going to say to old girl, you know, something like that.
Could be.
So I do realistic, real life stuff, you know, I mean, because it's real.
Is it well, to certain clients or children or teens,
Mm-hmm.
would you say it's somewhat exhausting to them at times because it's not like something they go partake in, like a sport or something, and they trying to get better at that sport, and it's just that 2-hour practice I have to struggle with because I'm getting better. Speech is 24/7, where they just may be like, it's all day. Where some of them just be like, it's just okay. Can we just? I want to. It's like it's no days off.
Yeah. I've seen that. Mostly the older kids. I had an older kid in high school, and you know he agreed. He had his days where he just didn't say anything, or he would say the bare minimum. And then there were those days where we had to get him ready for, you know, classroom presentations. So, a lot of kids in the schools they get modifications. So what I would do is I would ask the teacher, you know, the classes that he's most likely to talk in, like the English, all those. Like, can we have all the projects ahead of time? Whatever he has to do, like standing in the class, so we can get a head start. We're practicing, and we use that and do it in therapy. We do it together, and we work on it. So, like, I do this myself because, believe it or not, most speech therapists, we don't like talking in front of people. So, I always take a sticker, put it on the top of your head.
Your head or the kids' head?
I put it on my head.
Okay.
So it teaches them how to focus on a forehead versus the eyes. It's fake eye contact. So when you're
Okay.
standing up in front of people, most I'll say teens who stutter that I've worked with, it's the making the eye contact or like looking at the people.
It's throwing them off.
Yes. And so
I agree.
yeah.
That throws off people who don't stutter.
Exactly. And that's what I was just telling you. That's what I was just telling you. I still have to use my own strategy. Like, I need you to put a sticker on your head and sit right there. Like, that's what we do. Or if I know where we're going to speak, where the kid is going to speak, like I've gone as far as I'll stay behind school. Like, can we use your classroom? Like the classroom they'll be speaking in, like to practice. This is when I worked in the school setting. And I would put the sticker on my head. I get silly and kind of make them lighten up, and we just practice. I get some little dolls, bring some little dolls. I have little old dolls and spread them out in the classroom.
Man, that sounds like some work.
It is work. It is, but I really care about my people, and I can relate, but in a different sense. I was bullied and teased in school, so mine was just different. So by any means.
Is that the most crucial time? Let me ask this before I go, because you made me think of it. It seems like the junior high down, high school too, a little bit. That's where it can be the most crucial.
The most, yes.
They are vicious with their words in that time.
And then that's when you want to talk to the girls. You got prom.
You're learning. You're like, It's like a buddy of mine, maybe he needed therapy, but we was young. We was in high school, and I think he finally admitted to, I can't remember, but we was in high school at a basketball game, and he was interested in this upperclassman, and it's like we just hanging out. It's a group of us. He calls the girl over to us, like it's a group of us, so some confidence there.
Yeah.
So he calls her over, and he wasn't the smoothest talker, okay, but he said, "What's up with it?"
I'm pretty sure that took everything in him to get that
He
out.
said, "What's up with it?" And I guess that was his line. But the girl, the upperclassman, was like, "What you mean?
Yeah.
What's up with it?" He was like, "What's up with it?" So that was his line. And one of our buddies just bust out laughing and said, "Man, your game is whack." He said it in front of everybody.
Wow.
And my buddy, he didn't say another word to her. She just sat there a few minutes, then she went on about her day. But he didn't say another word.
That crushed him.
I still know him to this day. I believed. I didn't have the education to know. I said, man, I know that affected how you talk to girls. Because he never talked to him in public after that. It's just friends. And this is a person who didn't stutter. Like, let alone having to do it in private can be challenging, but in public with friends around that can witness you get, embarrassed or something like that.
Right.
And that was in high school, so I can they have no care for feelings in that realm.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. You fresh meat.
It can be, man. They don't. Well, I want to say they don't care, or they're not aware of how big of an impact what they doing can have on their friends.
It's both.
It's both.
It's both. Manners. We all come from different environments too.
I agree.
Manners.
I agree. I guess I'm trying to save some face for those young ones. But yeah, that's good stuff. Before we wrap, where can people out there? I found you on LinkedIn, but is there any other socials, platforms, websites where people can say, hey, I got some more questions?
Yes. So on Instagram, I do have Instagram and Facebook. They both are the same. It's Unique Speech Techniques. The website is www.uniquespeechtechniques.com.
Got it.
And you can find everything you need there. I do offer free consultations. They last for about 20 minutes. I hear the problem. We go through medical history. I like to hear it all out and see how I can help you. And as far as my personal, my LinkedIn is Patrice Thomas, MS, CCC, SLP. So those are
awesome
to
sauce.
get in touch.
Thank you so much for coming. I learned a lot. And when we get dates and times on our side regarding the showing, we're very excited about the film, and we would love for you to come check it out.
Yes, I will. I'll be there. You let me know ahead of time, and I'll be there.
It would definitely be ahead of time. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.